Hey everyone, today's episode is going to be a little different than normal. It's going to be very unscripted. I have no notes. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to talk about, but I think it's something that I need to discuss. And that is that business is crazy. And why do we do this to ourselves? This past week was kind of nuts with a client challenge that I had to take. For the first time in the business, I was extremely disappointed and had to take full responsibility. And man, did it knock me down for a few minutes. Someone vital on our team left very unexpectedly and unprofessionally. It was not expected. And it affected a lot of things from that I had to be very ethical and transparent about decisions for this client. And man, it was tough. And I think not enough people talk about we focus so much on the highlight reel for business owners that a lot of times we do not talk about what's really underneath the surface and the absolutely shitty parts of running a business. And then we ask ourselves, when that happens, why do we do this to ourselves? And the answer is, I don't know, but we do. We keep showing up, we keep doing our stuff. But I was part of a group called Vanto Group, and I'm doing a cohort with them. And they talk a lot about working from a blank canvas. And it's something that I'm trying to do. You know, like as business owners, we've all been in that really sucky situation. But what's amazing about business is that we can control so much of what we do and how we react. We might not be able to control what's happens around us, but with everyone, we can 100% control of what we do. And that's what I'm trying to embrace. By the way, this is Unearth with Shelly Hughes. I'm Shelly Hughes. In this podcast, we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of running a passionate, profitable brand. In today's episode, we're talking mainly the ugly because we have to. One thing I'm trying to learn is that most people shape the future based on their past, and few invent the future and act today kind of in service of it. And so that doesn't mean that we're not learning from the past. But one thing I learned from a very amazing partner of ours, Vanto Group, is just we have to consistently work from a blank canvas. And so what does that mean? A couple things. One, in business, I know everyone has said, why the hell am I doing this to myself? I've asked myself that many times, but we still get up and we still do it. Only the business owners that fail are the ones that quit. And I'm not saying don't adapt. I'm not saying quit something that's not serving you anymore, but it's so easy to just say, this is too freaking hard. And what I have learned in those really, really tough times, including this week, is that we essentially have to give ourselves a 5-minute rule. We do this as a family. We do this, my husband and I do this when something really upsets us. We give ourselves 5 minutes to be absolutely furious, pissed, annoyed, but we just give ourselves 5 minutes and then we have to be over it and we have to move on. Because so many people, they're so ingrained in their emotions. I don't know what it is, but they allow a bad morning to turn into a bad day and then a bad week. They hold on to that and they almost become paralyzed by it. And so I think it's on the extreme case and a very unusually consistent case for many businesses where we get bad news and we're just like, crap, what am I going to do? And what we have to realize both in business and in personal life is that it doesn't matter what happened, right? You cannot change that. You can only learn from it and then invent the future from that blank canvas. Yes, of course, we're going to make decisions based off of past learnings, but the stories that we made up about ourselves or who we are and what we do in the past, a lot of that is completely irrelevant. And so first, it's okay, how can we, I could have easily just been paralyzed, not know what to do, ignored it. I know many, many individuals, whom I love, by the way, that would probably just try to ignore it because they're not exactly sure what to do, so they do nothing. I think that's one of the hardest parts of business is when things go badly, you can take essentially like a 5-minute pause and you have to get back up and be a savage, right? You have to do what you have to do. You have to do what you might not want to do. And in some cases, it's doing the work yourself. and saying, I told myself I would never take 2 steps backwards if maybe you hired a team or whatever it is. Sometimes it's saying, okay, I'm going to have to two step backwards and do the work myself. I'm going to be an expert in whatever the hell this is and do it myself. In other cases, like my case this past week, was just say to a client, look, I am so sorry that the product that we delivered was not up to your standards and definitely not up to mine. Here's a refund. Here is what we're going to do to make it right. And we're going to help in any way we can for an easy transition. And look, I've never had to do that before. We've never failed like that. And I think it's really scary because at first I was like, oh, we're going to fix it. We're going to fix it. And as a business owner, I have to be ethical. I have to be transparent with a client when I kind of have this inkling that we are not the right partner for a specific project. And so that's kind of been what's going on this week. And the other thing that is just really challenging, and again, a lot of business owners understand this, is just the loyalty aspect, right? How do you, we have had people on my team that has been with us essentially from the beginning, but there are a lot of people out there that are just, they're not loyal and they don't really care. And then, that's a hiring issue, right? It's like, how do you navigate that? How do you combat that? Especially many business owners right now, they are begging people to join their team. And so what we're trying to figure out now, I think as a community, is we are desperate for talent. How can we be the best at what we do in our respective fields with the least amount of people and the least amount of effort? And so there's 3 things I feel like all business owners in 2026 are fully focused on. 1 is people, 2 is efficiency in operations, and 3 is AI. They all connect to each other. And because of a lot of the layoffs that happened the past few years, I think businesses are very scared to make those big hires again, which sucks because it's people that make businesses amazing. But right now, my question is, how can I slim down? How can I be razor focused, even more than we have in the past, which, this whole past year we've been laser focused. How can we just make it even more focused so the efficiency happens that much easier? Look, I'm not going to go really any further on this, guys, but I just want to let you know that if you're a business owner and you have these downs, please do not look at other people's highlight reels and think that you are alone. And it's all about how you react, how long you stay in that down, and how quickly you can kind of, you can jump back up and take action. Because action, I believe, is one of the most important things we can do. Sarah Burlew says there are closed door decisions and there are open door decisions. Closed door decisions are things you have to really, really think about, make a plan about, make sure you're very clear, because it's very hard to open up that door if you make that decision. Open door decisions are different, and the majority of our decisions that we make on a daily basis are open door decisions. It's decisions that we can make quickly, and if we realize that it was not the right decision, it's relatively easy to kind of go back and change direction. So all to say, business owners, I hear you. I see your struggle. I see your highs. I really do. And I see your lows. And I see you being like, oh, why don't I just get a regular 9-to-5 job? And then you're like, because I can't. I would be a terrible employee. And it's like, okay, now that idea floated in one side of my brain and out the other, what are we going to do about this? It's all about being vulnerable to your team without being weak, which I think is a really interesting place to be in, right? You can't. It doesn't make sense for you to be like, everything's good, everything's fine with your team when it's not, because you have to communicate the gravity, you have to communicate the vulnerability that you're going through, but at the same time, you cannot come off as weak. You have to come off as decisive. And as business owners, we are. And you just have to be a savage. Wayne Helms, who is my coach and owner of Elite Combatives in MMA, he was texting me last night, you just have to be a savage. You have to take no prisoners, including yourself, and just do what freaking needs to be done to get you to where you want to be, and not let any step backwards paralyze you. So that's it. I appreciate you. Thank you. Enough with Shelly Hughes. I'm Shelly Hughes. If you like this episode, please share it. I think we all just need to hear that highlight reel is a bunch of bullshit, and we need to really support each other on the highs and lows, and most importantly, have people around us that we can tap on their shoulder and say, please walk me through what I should do, because we don't always have the answers. I'm not saying other people have to make that decision for us. But when we are kind of trying to realign our brain from an explosion, it really helps when you have people around you that understand what you're going through and you're close enough to them so they understand your business, where they can help from a third party perspective, non-emotional perspective, walk through what would be the best next piece of action. But only you can decide that. Guys, thank you. Send this around. Appreciate you. And I hope you have a good week.